I guess our first item of business is reports from commissioners and staff. So do any commissioners have reports?
My committee was cancelled again, sir.
I don't know. Did you want to say anything about the conference you guys went to?
Yeah, I'll report on the a planning conference down in Visalia. I think you did it last year.
I did.
So I'll take my turn. Anyway, this was held in Tulare County in Visalia. And we had a lot of sessions, particularly on water. Water, of course, is a big deal down there. But just a little bit about Tulare County, kind of interesting. Every place you go, there are orange trees. And an acre of orange trees, there's a market for it, $32,000 an acre. Oranges are a valuable commodity, obviously, but it takes a lot of water, which I'll get into in a minute. And Tulare County, of all the counties in the United States, Tulare County's value of their agricultural products is over $8 billion, which is more than any county in the whole United States.
Wow.
Tulare County, you don't hear a lot about Tulare County, but anyway, so the emphasis was on water. And fortunately, they have plenty of water. The Kaweah River, which the headwaters of which is up in the Sequoia National Park, flows, of course, west and into Tulare County. And years ago, most of Tulare County was a lake. And it gradually was water was utilized for the agriculture, and it was pumped out and so on, and so it is no longer a lake, but of course the soils down there are extremely rich and they can grow anything. So they gave us kind of a background on Tulare County's role in agriculture. It was very interesting. Then we had the presentation on the natural history of the Tulare Lake Basin when they had this huge lake down there. And then regarding the present, as far as water is concerned, and they have the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act is very, very important to them, as well as the surface water from the Kaweah River. Then they've got into the future of their land use and the water. These are very interesting presentations. We had a session on the Dry Creek restoration. Dry Creek, it was a gravel mine for many years, much larger than what we have down west of Jamestown. It was a huge gravel producer, and finally they closed down, and they, in lieu of having to reclaim the site like most mines have to do, they gave the land to Tulare County, and Tulare County took on the role of mitigating the past efforts in this open pit mine. And as a result today, which we visited on Saturday, they have done a lot of work down there in restoring the site and returning it to nature and so on. And it was very impressive. The relation to Tuolumne County is that this is something they took on, did themselves, and in a very successful manner. We then, let's see, we had a presentation on the archaeology down there by our own Shelley Davis King, who is extremely experienced in the foothill communities as far as the history of them and so on. That was very interesting. Let's see. Then on Saturday we visited the dam on the Kaweah River. Very impressive. And in fact, we visited the Kaweah River, which was just unbelievably full of water. You wouldn't even want to get within 100 feet of it. It might soak you in. There's pull you in. It was just unbelievably fast. Lots of water. Later on that day, we visited a dairy. Dairy is another big commodity in Tulare County. We don't particularly have those here, but it was interesting because this one dairy, they have 10,000 cows, and they get milk twice a day.
Oh, my goodness.
This is unbelievable. Obviously, you don't do it the old-fashioned way with manpower.
Take a lot of
Everything mechanized, and these cows wait in line, and they go into this, it's like a big merry-go-round, and they get in their stalls, and the mechanical milkers are hooked up and all that stuff. Twice a day, 10,000 cows, and the place is as clean as the floor in this room. Unbelievably clean, no smell. The individual that runs this, really on top of it. And it was interesting because as obviously this is a prosperous enterprise, but he didn't say too much, but you read between the lines and he was very unhappy with California regulations. He says a lot of his peers in the area have moved on, Texas, Nevada, someplace besides California, and he has this tremendous investment there. You drive down the valley and some of these small dairies, you see the cows in the mud and slop and so on. Everything there is dry, concreted, or dry dirt and so on. But so he can't move. But he
Too much invested.
indicated in so many words the regulations in California as far as a dairy is concerned, not good. So that was very impressive. And overall, the big theme was water management and agriculture, and I think it was very worthwhile. And my
Definitely.
colleague, have anything to add? Why?
Oh, Dick didn't tell you, but we closed the day at what was in Lindsay, what was a former orange packing plant, a huge, huge warehouse. None of us have ever seen anything like what we saw there, nor do we expect to see it ever again. It is an entertainment venue, remarkable, entirely financed by grants. We went from one activity to another. They have a surfing area there with obviously churning water. They had soccer fields, they had basketball, they have boxing, they had machines of all kinds, and these were all in operation while we were
Indoor
touring.
soccer.
Yeah, indoor soccer. We everything imaginable. 187,000 square feet filled with entertainment, and again financed entirely by grants.
It's over 4 acres.
A city council member took us on this tour, and I sort of chummed along with her because I had a lot of questions, and I think she got tired of me quickly, very quickly, and it left us with questions. Well, one of the things I posed to her was, tell me what the new minimum wage is doing to your operations, your staffing. She said, well, that's an issue. So we walked along and looked at some other things, and then I said, please talk to me about maintenance. They have a full gymnasium there and a fitness club and so on. And of course, fitness is a big issue. Her answer again was, well, that's a big issue. And finally I said, please tell me that this is financially sound, that you're making money. And she said, well, that's an issue. So I suspect it wouldn't be there unless you went really quickly, but the brochure is in the bag if you're interested. It is fabulous. If you have young people in your family or know of young people that would have a day down there, it would be memorable. It was to us, and we're old folks.
Any other commissioners have any? Okay. Staff?
Excuse me. Good evening. I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce myself. And my name is Quincy Yaley. I'm the new assistant director over at CRA. Just welcome. I'm excited to be here and wanted to say hello. And I'm here tonight with Renee Hendry. Looking forward to working with you all on the Planning Commission. So thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you back. Been a long time. So are there any reports from the Planning Committee? No.
Canceled, I'm sorry.
The Agricultural Advisory Committee?
Didn't meet.
Okay, there we go. Have something next time. And so the next item would be the minutes of the meeting of May 3rd.
I'll move approval as sent to us.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
No, unanimous. The next item for us will be the public comment period. So this is the opportunity for anybody to get up and discuss with the commission anything that is not on the printed agenda. So if anybody has any input that you think we'd like to hear, you're more than welcome to come up now. Seeing none, we'll move on to our public hearing. One item tonight, it is Donald Clanson, pardon me.
Clanton.
Let me pronounce that correctly. For a conditional use permit to allow the expansion of the existing Lake Don Pedro storage facility. So with that, we'll kick it to staff.
Good evening, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
We have Donald Clanton. He's applied for conditional use permit CUP 15-014 to allow the expansion of the existing Lake Don Pedro storage facility on a 2.9-acre site south of the existing storage facility. Here are the vision, mission, and value statements adopted by Tuolumne County, which are utilized as a guide for the processing of each project application that we receive. The purpose of the project is to allow the construction of new buildings to expand the existing storage facility. There will be 5 new buildings ranging in size from 4,860 square feet to 12,624 square feet for a total of 44,028 square feet. The increased number of storage spaces will allow residents in the Lake Don Pedro area and even seasonal visitors to store boats, trailers, and personal items. This property is designated special commercial by the Tuolumne County General Plan and is zoned CS for special commercial under Title 17 of the Ordinance Code. Pursuant to Section 1736030 of the Ordinance Code, a mini storage facility is an allowed use, subject to obtaining a conditional use permit. The site is located on Las Palmas Way in the Lake Don Pedro area and is a parcel within the Lake Don Pedro Subdivision Number 2. State Highway 132 is located to the west of the project site. The project site is located in an area zoned for commercial uses. There is another storage facility to the east known as Sipes Marine Repair and Storage Facility. The Lake Don Pedro Market is located to the northwest. A parcel to the west currently contains a recreational vehicle park known as RV at the Lakes. This property was recently approved for the construction of a 9,100 square foot Dollar General store pursuant to Site Development Permit SDP 15-014. This project was completed by a separate entity and is not part of the whole of the action for the current project. Consequently, a separate environmental review under CEQA was completed for each of these projects. A single-family residence is located on a parcel to the south. The Lake Don Pedro High School is located approximately 1,700 feet to the southeast. The purpose of a conditional use permit is to ensure that certain types of proposed developments are properly integrated into the community based on certain criteria, such as the project is consistent with the existing zoning and general plan, the project will not overburden municipal services, the size and terrain are suitable for the proposed project, and the use will not be detrimental to persons residing or working in the surrounding area. The new storage units will be constructed of metal with a metal roof and roll-up doors similar in design to this photo. They will be painted a blue color to match the existing storage units at the Lake Don Pedro facility. Here are a portion of the existing storage units that shows the blue color and the roll-up doors. The proposed placement of the new storage units will be similar to the layout of the existing storage units, with the length of the building running from north to south. Landscaping will be utilized around the perimeter of the development, along the frontages, along the access driveway, to improve the visual quality of the project site. A landscape plan will be reviewed and approved by the Planning Division to ensure the plan is consistent with the Tuolumne County landscape guidelines. Pursuant to the ordinance code, the minimum area to be landscaped for this site is 10%. For this 2.9 acres, that means 0.3 acre or 13,068 square feet is required to be landscaped. The project was subject to the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, and a mitigated declaration was prepared. The initial study identified potential environmental impacts. However, this project's potential impacts were mitigated to less than significant levels by incorporating the mitigation measures identified in the initial study into the conditions of approval for this project. The topics that were addressed in the initial study included wildlife, hydrology and water quality, geology, erosion control, land use and planning, water or sewer service, fire protection, traffic and circulation, visual quality, and culture resources. This project is proposing to meet the mission of Tuolumne County by increasing the number of storage units available for rent in the Lake Don Pedro area of Tuolumne County, allowing boats, trailers, equipment, and personal items to be stored safely indoors, out of the weather, and decreasing the chance of theft. It also is going to incorporate mitigation measures to ensure protection of the natural and cultural resources and to aid the creation of employment opportunities in the Lake Don Pedro area and to aid other commercial businesses in the area to be able to store their own materials. The Planning Commission can either approve the project as presented, approve the project with modifications or added conditions, or deny this project altogether. Following the decision by the Planning Commission, there is a 10-day period where the decision can be appealed to the Board of Supervisors. Any questions?
Any of the commissioners have questions?
No.
Doesn't look like it. So with that, I guess we'll go on to the applicant wish to speak, or anyone in favor?
Yeah,
So,
in favor.
all those in favor, this is your opportunity.
The owner isn't.
Good evening. My name's Don Clanton. I'm a sole proprietor of Lake Don Pedro Storage, which I've owned since 1999. That is a self-storage for boats and household goods, which was originally built in the late 70s and then developed over time. And at the current time, over the last several years, we've been filled up and we have a waiting list. The other issue that we've had is the boats have been becoming bigger and with a taller, and they've had a hard time utilizing our existing size of storage, and so we're proposing to expand to the south on a lot that I had bought from Olivia Christofferson in 2001. And that would allow us to expand and then have larger facilities there to accommodate the boats. In fact, even people that I have there now would like to go to larger units, so that'll help us quite a bit. One of the good things of that is I'm able to use all of my existing infrastructure and just add additional storage units, because I have an on-site manager, and so I have a mobile home for them, and so I have the security there. And we're in the process of installing closed-circuit TVs, so we get the security there. And then having the access from Los Morris, which is the parallel road to Las Palmas where this project is. I still enter from my existing storage unit with a cipher gate, and then because of the problem of going over the creek or the waterway that's on Las Palmas, it was agreed that we would just utilize that they would go into the area where the new storage is and come back out Los Morris the same way. So there's no additional traffic impact on Las Palmas. There will be some on Los Morris, but there currently is no businesses on Los Morris between Merced Flat Road and 132. As Renee said, this is normal zoning for normal use of the property for this zoning, and we've gone through all the environmental studies according to California Environmental Quality Act with a negative declaration of any environmental impacts. We have hired and have a local engineering firm that's been going through and doing the engineering for us, and we have gone through all of the listed conditions, and they're all acceptable to us, and we'll be able to meet those. We did note that there's a southeast corner of the property where there's an ephemeral stream, and that's going to be left ungraded, and that'll be used for vegetation and trees, as well as some other areas, as Renee had said. So I am open to any questions you might have.
Any questions?
The only opposition was that you weren't a very good businessman because you obviously didn't need this extra expansion. So you clearly can rent this all out based on what you've just told us.
I'm not going to be renting it all out. It's going to be staged, and I'm not proposing to overflood the area.
Okay.
I'm proposing to build it as it's needed, and I do have a need right now.
Okay.
So the buildings may come on over time then?
They'll be staged.
As the need arises?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it would be economically a bad thing, but it'd also create a hazard for people that would like to, as an empty building, they'll put hazardous materials, and we don't want that.
Certainly.
Any other questions? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in favor? Seeing none, we'll go on to opposed. Are there anybody that wish to speak in opposition? Seeing none, anyone wish to speak neutrally? Okay, we got a taker.
Well, I'm pretty overwhelmed with the number of Don Pedro people here tonight. I want to thank Mr. Clanton for his presentation, because I was a little confused reading through this, and I was concerned it was near the Dollar General, and I hadn't seen that at first, so it's in this packet that I saw tonight, so I thought that was good. But I was concerned about the water, but it looks like, as you explained it, you won't be adding any new water or sewage to this site. You'll be using your old stuff, because I remember Don Pedro didn't have enough water for their citizens, either last year or the year before. And I'm thinking with the Dollar General going in, and then you got the grocery store and the gas station, and those would be the only places to stop and pee, so. So I was glad to hear that it won't add anything. So I thought that was good. So I appreciate your presentation. I just thought you did a fabulous job tonight.
Well, I'm going to ask if there's anybody else that's neutral, but I don't think there's anybody else out there. So,
There is not.
with that, we'll bring it back to the commission.
I have a question, please. I'm looking on page 9 of our submission, and I'm looking at the calculation for the traffic. And then we've been given something new tonight. Please explain.
The original calculation I did for the traffic fees, is that what you're talking about?
I
Yes.
believe so, yeah.
Yes, I used the wrong number, and I had to revise it to the current traffic impact mitigation fee schedule.
Oh, thank you, Renee. Thank you.
Question, do we know how many trips are expected? I guess, I don't think of mini storages as generating that many trips.
Yeah,
but-
I wouldn't think so either.
There's a trip on this fee schedule. There is a trip rate that's an estimate, and
In the ITE manual, probably.
yes,
yeah.
and I don't know it off the top of my head. It's not that many trips, but it could be, depending on how many times people come and go, and from the
Okay.
property.
Oh, no,
How many
it
units
just
overall?
intuitively didn't seem like it would be that many, but maybe there are, and I just don't realize it. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Since he's going to build this out in sections, does he have to come back here for each building, or is this approved for the whole thing based on what he wants to? He can just start building anytime he wants to for the next building he needs?
He will obtain the conditional use permit based on the overall plan, and you can look at it as like a master plan. And as long as he begins the use within 3 years, it doesn't expire, and he can continue to do it in phases if he wishes, following all of his conditions,
Okay.
and just apply for a building permit when he's ready for each unit.
Okay, so the building permit isn't for the whole site, it's for per building?
It's for per building.
Okay,
That's what I would have
Thank you.
expected. Yeah.
okay, all right.
But the mitigation fees for the entire project are paid prior to beginning any, is that correct?
That is not correct. The traffic mitigation fees are going to be paid per unit. And so if he only builds 10 of the units right now, then he has to just pay those 10. And if he wanted to submit a building permit for all of them, he could pay the whole fee now, which could save money in the long run, because, fees do change, and it's going to be based on the current traffic impact fee at the time of submission of a building permit.
So it's tied
Thank
to,
you.
it's tied to
Good.
the building permit in essence.
Yes,
So when you talk about, there are 5 buildings.
5
So he'll
buildings.
build one building now, as an example, and hold off for a year until he's filled that one up and build number 2, and then build number 3. It's not building within those units, it's the
It's
whole-
actually based on per unit. If he builds one building, it's got 12 units, and then he's got to go 12 times that fee.
Okay, all right, got it, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
I would entertain a motion if somebody has one.
Mr. Chairman, I will move on approval of the negative declaration based on findings A, B, C, D, E, and F, and move approval of the conditional use permit based on findings A, B, C, D, and E.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. And with that, I think we're done for the evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.